On the air with is now a guy that I've respected for a long time, and got a good chance to meet him when he was the mayor of Toronto in all my time at the Fan 590, as we built that into the best all-sports radio station, I think, in this country. His name, as you know, is David Miller, and he joins me now. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Brian. Great work on the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you, and congratulations. You know, you've always, as I was saying to you off the air, been a savvy politician. Boy, I mean, you were right on the hot seat in this city for a long time, and you certainly hit the jackpot yesterday. And I think the reason you did is because the letter that you penned sort of resonates with what everybody out there has been thinking. And if I could kick this little conversation off, Dave, by saying this, and we can talk about the disasters that have gone on down there, but the saddest part of it all is that this team has been so well embraced by the fans, and I believe still will be. For it to be frittered away by management the way he has is the disgrace in all of this, and I think you feel exactly the same way.
Well, I do, Brian. I've loved Toronto FC. I'm a huge supporter of the club. There's photographs of me literally from all over the world wearing my TFC scarf. But between a year and a half ago, when we had 50,000 people in the Sky Dome to watch Los Angeles because we were doing really well in the Champions League, to today, they've hired and fired 4 leaders of the club. Yeah. And it's just descending into a farce. And I sent this letter because I thought somebody needed to stand up and say to those responsible for the decisions, you can't keep doing this. You got to have stability. You have to have some stability in management. You have to have stability on the field, and you have to have stability in the experience. And the fans want to embrace Toronto FC, but you can't if they keep having this constant change.
And I'm not going to get all petty in the whole Ryan Nelsen thing and whatnot. These guys come across here. He's the latest coach, and we'll see how long that lasts. But the latest thing with Kevin Payne was just ridiculous, and we'll get into that for a second. But here's what I did want to say. Many people out there, and Tom Anselmi has resigned, and a lot of people lay the blame at his feet. But I will say this. And the instability is a keynote you had. Look at the names they actually asked to come in here. When Mo Johnson came here in 2007, David, there was many people of Scottish descent who bought tickets just because it was Mo Johnson, because he's such a legendary figure in Scotland. Doesn't mean to say he's a good general manager. Jurgen Klinsmann's a huge name in the world of soccer. Doesn't mean to say he's a good general manager. I mean, they did try and bring some very high-profile guys in, David, but as you hit the nail on the head again in your letter, every time they did, everyone has their own vision of how the team should play, and they just kept on scrapping the team style of play. At one point in time, they brought in 39 players in 1 year.
Well, and that's why I wrote the letter, because what I saw in Tim Lewicki being hired as president of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, he's got the absolute right, of course, to fire Kevin Payne, who they just hired. But what I saw was the risk of this all happening again, and I've watched it. Under Mo Johnson, they tried to get particular kind of players, and the team improved a little bit each year, almost made the playoffs. Carver quit as coach. Chris Cummins was coaching. They lost 5-0 last game of the year away in New York. And if they'd won that game, they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was in a driving rainstorm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
The team looked like it quit.
Yeah.
So that moment, I think, has led to all of this, because what they did was they said, okay, we're going to bring in a real hard-nosed guy as coach, Preki. And Preki got rid of all the players he thought were underperforming, but they happened to be all the skilled ones.
I know. That was a disaster.
And it was a disaster. In fact, so they get rid of Preki and they bring in Aaron Vinter, who was a wonderful gentleman, but just didn't seem to know the league well enough. Well, the rumor is that Vinter would play other teams and he'd say, oh, that guy looks really good, we should have him on our team. And the response would be, well, he was here last year and we got rid of him. And that kind of turnover eventually gets to the fans. You want to bond with the guys on the field. We got a guy right now, Richard Eckersley, right back, plays his heart out. People can bond with that. But when the turnover on the field, the turnover in the coaching staff, the turnover in the management keeps happening, not just year after year, halfway through the season, they need to be called to account, the people who make the decisions, and be told, the fans don't want this. And that's really what I was trying to say. And I think certainly resonated. People have been stopping me all over the place and sending me notes on Twitter saying, thanks for speaking up. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to know the full content of David Miller's letter, it's on our front page on the website here at NSS. David, I recall vividly a couple of things I was going to say. I recall vividly you calling me many, many years ago when they were first starting and saying to me, Brian, or maybe you were coming on the show, I can't remember, the morning show when Pat and Derringer were there, Pat Mars, and saying to me, listen, I really want to go down to the game this weekend. Is there anything you can do? You guys got any tickets around? I said, David, you're the mayor of the city. I mean, that's how tough tickets were to come by. And I recall directly when the PA announcer would be sitting there in the stands and he would say, all right, here's the starting 11 for TFC, in goal, and he would shut up and the crowd would yell out who it was.
Yeah, it was magic.
And right through the whole team.
The whole team, the fans would announce it. The announcer said the first name, and they knew the last name, every player.
Every player, and then they'd sing the national anthem by themselves. Didn't need anyone to sing it. And everyone knew who Danny Dicchio was, and everyone knew who Dwayne De Rosario was. We knew everyone on the team. I will tell you right now, David, unless it's either you or one of your most ardent supporters, I could open the phone lines right now and ask them to name me 3 players on TFC, and there would be 1 in 50 people in the city that could do that.
Well, and that's it's a symptom of the problem, and it's this constant turnover, and it's still that one of the things I said in my letter. I think this is their last chance. They can still get it right, and that what they've done, and maybe in some ways this is smart, but they've said we're not going to renew the season's tickets till January. They've promised to make moves between now and January that'll stabilize the team and send a strong message that they're going to be competitive. Well, I hope they get it right, because I think this is a bit of a breaking point for fans.
I couldn't agree with you. Okay, let's be positive for a second here, shall we, David?
Absolutely.
What can we do? What you pointed out in your letter, for those who haven't seen it, what does TFC have to do first and foremost to get this back on the right track?
Well, I think first and foremost they got to stop the change on the field. So right now, I give Ryan Nelsen credit on this. The team plays hard and tries hard, and it lacks a bit of quality, particularly putting the ball in the goal. Part of that's because Danny Kuverman got hurt, unfortunately, playing on artificial turf in Boston. So they got to stabilize the team, add selectively where you need it, a couple of good pieces, maybe 2 or 3, and build from there so we know the team. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I got no beef against the Toronto Argonauts Football Club. They've been around for over 100 years. I think they deserve a good outdoor stadium.
Of course.
They can't. Right now, you can't talk about trying to bring them to TFC.
Absolutely not. I mean, one of the biggest moves the club did correctly, and you were behind it, not just saying this because you're on with me, was getting grass in there. We all know, who are of British, Italian, or whatever soccer backgrounds, that you do not play world-class competitive football on artificial turf. It just doesn't work.
Well, people forget, I agree with you completely, but people forget this stadium isn't just BMO Field. It's the National Soccer Stadium. It's the home of the Canadian national men's team.
Good point.
And it was built for the men's, women's, and the age group teams like the under-21s to play. And you got to have an excellent state-of-the-art grass pitch. And I can tell you, Brian, because I was briefed on all of this is as good a field as you get in the world. It's got proper drainage. It's built properly. It's to state-of-the-art. And good on MLSE, and this is Tom Anselmi's work. They put in the best possible grass pitch. Well, you can't play football on that. Football will have to be on turf. But whether bringing the Argos there is right or not, that's not my point. The point is, you can't have that discussion right now.
Yeah, I guess, yes.
To leave. Yeah. To say that's the last straw for us.
Yeah, but I will say this, for soccer fans around the world, and I've trust me, I've sat in almost every park there is in Britain to watch matches. The thought of bringing a football team onto a soccer pitch, the two sets just don't go together, because people who have their soccer teams just believe that football teams completely chew up the pitch. And then you start into that whole thing of having to resod the thing and ruining what is one of the best fields in the league. And it just doesn't work. And you're right, the timing is wrong. Okay, so now Kevin Payne, just to touch on this, I mean, his record's impeccable in Major League Soccer, and I understand Tim Lewicki's the head of the whole show, and I understand new guys come in and they want to bring in their own people, and I also understand that he won a cup with the LA Galaxy, and talks about that quite frequently, just if anyone questions if he knows what he's doing. I wonder who he's got up his sleeve to bring in to replace Kevin Payne, because I don't know anyone with a better record to guide the team.
Well, it was a real head scratcher for the typical supporter like me. I didn't actually meet Kevin Payne. I haven't met Tim Lewicki. I did meet a lot of the people before that, Paul Mariner in particular. But you bring in Kevin Payne. He's won 4 MLS Cups. He has a particular vision, which is to bring young players from Latin America who have potential up and keep them and build the team around them. And there's a guy named Matias Laba who he brought up who's superb. Brought up another guy named Maximilian Urruti, and we traded him 2 weeks later after scouting him for 2 years.
Nice.
It's bizarre. I just hope, if Tim Lewicki has the right guy in his pocket, I sure hope so. And I'll be the first one back. They bring the right guy, and and they show that they're taking the fans seriously. They're respecting our investment and our passion for the club. And they're stabilizing the experience and on the field.
Well,
but I sure hope he knows what he's doing.
Well, that absolutely goes without saying. Listen, for those who have never been down to BMO Field to watch a game, when it was going down there, it was going great. They've got the Carlsberg Beer Garden. The tall boys are being sold like they're hotcakes, going out of style. It is not a place for, they've got the Red Patch Boys down there. When I'm there, I notice it's a hot place for guys to take dates. There's women who are going down there in 2s and 3s and 4s. It was a happening place. There's families, there's children. It's a terrific environment down there, and with 21,000 people in that stadium packed, it's a really exciting place. And this is with a team that's been in last place for most of the time. That's why it is such a damn shame. Time will tell. Your letter was very timely, David, very timely, and certainly you've brought the spotlight on things. Let's hope that it moves it towards the glory days that we had when this thing first kicked off.
Well, let's hope, and thanks for having me on, Brian, to talk about it. I really appreciate it.
Listen, just before you go, we've had a tweet here at Nick Sports Star from Julia, who's in Aurelia, and she says, what's the former mayor doing with himself these days?
So I'm the new president of the World Wildlife Fund Canada, and we're doing a lot of work trying to save the Great Bear Rainforest in BC from the Enbridge pipeline, and a lot of work trying to preserve Canada's rivers and fresh water, and ensure that we're a country where city residents can connect to wilderness and vice versa. So I'm really excited about that. I just started, so stay tuned.
Got your hands full. David, as always, this goes around the world, what we're doing here right now, and if you ever need, I'll keep in touch. Now that I know where to get you, I'll keep in touch, and of course, if you ever need a platform to highlight something, you're welcome here.
Good luck with the show, Brian, and I look forward to being on again.
Okay, thanks, David. There he is, former mayor David Miller. Well,
Want opinion with your breakfast? These veteran broadcasters will deliver to you every morning on Breakfast with Brian and Bill. Big guests, big opinions. Monday to Friday from 7 to 10 a.m. here on NSF.